Okay, so the story that I'm going to tell you harkens back to my days in high school. And in high school, I was a band nerd. So I was one of those people who was in the high school. Do we have high school marching band people here? Yeah. Okay, a couple of them. Good. So in like the ladder of like social coolness in the high school, I would say that I was like Michael Cera, that actor that does like movies with cool people, but you're always like, how is he there? You know, like I don't understand. And that's kind of like how my life was in like outside of the high school world. But when I was in the marching band, I was like Brad Pitt. I was like that guy that just was like rolling in high school, like marching band ladies, you know? And the story that I'm going to tell you today revolves around two of the most prominent figures in my time in the high school marching band. So my first person her name was Liz. And Liz was like my best friend. We were together all the time, like hang out, all that kind of cool stuff. The problem with that is I saw Liz as my best friend, and Liz saw me as not her best friend. She was kind of like really interested in me. I was like, you know, you're really cool as my best friend, but I'm just not interested. Which kind of led to an interesting dilemma throughout all of our high school days. The other girl, her name was Megan, and in our high school marching band, it was 12th grade through 9th grade. And when you were in 8th grade, you went to middle school, which is a separate school, but you could be a part of the high school marching band. So there was a girl who came over in the high school marching band and was kind of like obsessed with me. And her name was Megan. And I was kind of like interested in Megan, but I was like, no, I'm in high school. I'm a senior in high school. She's like 14. I'm only 17, but still it's weird, right? We can't be. So that was kind of like the setup with these two girls. So this story really revolves around us going on a trip to Disney World. Every 4 years, our high school marching band went down to Florida, and it was my senior year was the year that we were going on the trip. My senior year was also September 11th, the year of September 11th. So we had already bought our plane tickets, we had already planned this whole trip over the summer, and September 11th happened, and I remember sitting in a high school auditorium thinking, are we going to go? We were having this big meeting with kind of everyone in the town. Can we get all 150 of our kids and put them on a plane and send them away? And we did get to go on the trip, but they decided we're not going to put them on a plane. We're going to rent coach buses, and we're going to drive 22 hours from Pennsylvania all the way down to Florida. The groan, I love that. So some things transpired when we were kind of going on this trip. And the first was that Megan wasn't allowed to go on the trip. So her parents had decided that, you know, Osama bin Laden took out the World Trade Center and the next stop was Disney World. We're going to destroy the happiest place on earth and that will ruin America. So it's like, okay, that's good. So out of the two people that are kind of having this little feud about me, one's not there. Awesome. Good for the trip. So Liz and I, obviously, were going to be seat partners on this 22-hour bus ride, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, like high school bus trip, 22 hours. I know it's, awkward. So I was like, I need to figure out a way to kind of put something or someone between us. So I got a little friend of mine called Waldo, and for the first 6.5 hours of the journey, we found Waldo in every Where's Waldo book that existed at that point in time. We found Waldo, we found the wizard, we found the scroll, we found the key, we found the dog. We even found the weird things in the back that no one ever finds in the book. I was like, we need something to do. So that plan worked out pretty well. That took us from Pennsylvania to Southern Virginia. And at that point I was like, the first part is done, and now it's nighttime, so I'm gonna go onto the floor of the bus and fall asleep. Perfect. Fell asleep, woke up in Southern Georgia, get to Disney World, first part of the trip, fine. So we get into the parking lot of a Holiday Inn that we're staying at in Orlando. 150 kids are getting off the bus, 150 family members, there's 300 of us. We're gonna check 300 people into a 300-person Holiday Inn. Our band director goes in, to start this whole process of, getting this going. So we're standing out in the parking lot, just kind of hanging out. We've been on a bus for 22 hours. The high school kids are kind of like going crazy. So I'm sitting there with my group of like 10 to 12 friends, seniors, juniors, and we're just kind of hanging out. And all of a sudden to my right, I see a picture being taken of me, like a flash picture, and I'm like, what's going on here? I didn't pop it, what's happening? And I see out of the corner of my eyes a gaggle of 8th graders who are taking pictures of me on a disposable camera. This is 2001, so we didn't have fancy like iPhone cameras. This is like one of those, we have 24 pictures, and that's it, you know, no retakes. So I'm like, oh, what is going on? I come to find out that Megan had sent a camera to document the trip. Namely my trip. I was like, oh, this is super awkward. So we did what any good, 18-year-old boys would do. We went and we took the camera. We took the camera and we went around the hotel. We took all these really great artistic pictures of the ground, of the little lizard that was crawling across the sidewalk. Our greatest moment was the Picasso we took in our bathroom in our hotel, like staging the toilet just right, so that Megan had a good picture of what our toilet looked like on the trip. And at this moment we said, this has gone too far. We need to teach these 8th graders who is boss here. We are in charge of this place. They're 8th graders. So we decided to come up with what we called the ice cream theory. The ice cream theory states anyone from freshman year and above is hard ice cream. Because we've solidified in who we are. We have evolved, right? When you're a senior in high school, you have evolved. Anybody who was 8th grade and below was soft ice cream, because obviously they weren't real people yet. And we used those terms. So we decided that it was time to share that with the world. If you ever want to make 150 people mad at you, you basically start the Jim Crow South based on age when you're in Disney World with 150 15-year-olds. People were angry. And it kind of came to a head that it all came back to me, right? That I was in charge of doing this. Like a nuclear bomb went off in Tomorrowland. So that day, we were in the Magic Kingdom. We were getting ready to parade. We were going to do a parade in front of the Main Street Electrical Parade. So they took us all backstage. We're kind of getting ready. We're preparing to get into our band uniforms and all that good stuff. So I'm standing there between 2 floats of the Main Street Electrical Parade, and this 15-year-old 8th grader comes up to me and just starts yelling at me. She is so mad. I don't remember the words, but I remember saying things like, I'm the meanest person in the world. I've ruined everyone's trip to Florida by starting this thing. How I was actually in love with Megan, and this is how I was covering it up through anger. And the best part about this, I don't even know what to say. This girl's just screaming at me. And I look to my left, and there standing on the float is a neon glow-in-the-dark Donald Duck with his head off, smoking a cigarette, just watching the show. To my right, I look over to my right, and the 3 little pigs, which is apparently a Disney characters, they also have their heads off, they're smoking cigarettes, and they're just egging this 15-year-old girl on. They're like, girlfriend, you tell him! He doesn't know what he did wrong. Just oh my gosh, what is happening in my life? The happiest place on earth, no more. So, that was a nice part. That kind of ended, the total anger of the trip. That kind of got a lot of the frustrations out. And then over the next couple of days, me and my, friends, my seniors, that kind of ruled the band, we went out and went on rides, and it kind of really calmed everything down. We were probably the most annoying people in the park. That was our goal, to be the most annoying people in every line for every ride. You've all been there. We thought we were cool. I now know we were not cool. So sorry for ruining. If anybody was there in November of 2001, I'm sorry for ruining your Disney trip. But we had a good time. So after that, we went home, and I fast forward a couple years later. I had graduated. I was in high school now. I was home for winter break, and I was hanging out with Megan, and we were just kind of catching up, all those sorts of things. And she was like, Justin, on that trip, I wasn't there, but I know that I knew when it happened. Even in Pennsylvania, I was still mad at you. It's great that I could span the coast like that. And she was just like, what, Justin, I realize now that you were right. Now that I'm in high school and I'm a senior, you were totally right about everything. Everyone can agree that if you were hard ice cream, you don't want to take your scooper out and put it into soft. Thank you very much.